Oh, okay. So given that you hear the opponent, obviously, play not behind half. Oh, it should have.
I don't think it's fair.
All right, let's get this started. Roll call.
Here.
Here, is here, I'm here, and Coach Waltz is here.
We have no, Ron's excused. That's it. Again, I would be unexcused because you didn't tell anybody.
Unless you're on his way.
Unless he's on his
The
way.
parking lot was full, so we had to park a lot more.
And that's sorry, and we can adjust that. It's not ratified yet. All right, everyone stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Was our meeting noticed properly?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting of March 18th, 2026. We have a chance to read them. Review, thank you. Any motion to accept?
Motion to accept, Phil.
Seconded, Jared.
Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Huh?
Someone.
Yeah.
Jared.
I missed it here.
Public comment or presentations? Agency rules, procedures, law clarifications. I got them. Treasurer's report. Sure.
Reviewed the monthly financials, no abnormalities in monthly billing. All entities, year to date are operating at a surplus, so everything looks good on mine.
Any questions?
Only the Huntington Bank thing, is that just came out, that they're changing their names?
Yeah, so I know
Check this out.
the directors have been in communication with Cadence. They merged with Huntington. They haven't been exactly happy with those procedures, and they've reached out to a few other entities to get quotes on banking services. I think they said they like Fifth Third, so they've been in talks with Fifth Third, but I think it's still in the works.
As long as Fifth Third can get our accounts set up the way that we want them, we're gonna be going with them.
Yes.
Because they have locations
I
on
just
both
wasn't
sides.
sure.
Yeah, Matthew contacted me about it. There were some questions on who was the signer on.
Well, they're still trying to figure out the ACH part of it
Okay,
and who could do the approval. If it's only Jared that can do it, which isn't gonna work for us. So that's what we're trying to work on.
yeah, I hadn't heard things, so I just assumed that I heard back today.
Still working.
All right, entity reports, East Lake Parks and Rec, monthly financials. Got a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, second, Phil.
You guys are slow. Usually you guys are a lot quicker on these.
Sorry, Phil. I'll work on that.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Still carried. Director's report.
Make a motion.
Second,
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Mark.
Not really too much. I mean, our sports, baseball is in full swing now, our spring baseball. Flag football going strong right now. We are, in the process of, we've applied, in the process of getting the Friends of East Lake Rec 501c3 in place, working on that. The other thing of note, I guess, was we added, you guys haven't heard me talk about nematodes for a while.
Oh, it's been nematodes.
It's such a
for while.
riveting conversation.
Anyway, there's still an issue for us. So we are putting a new product down. It's an organic product that is injected into our irrigation system. So we'll just water it in the irrigation system. It's totally organic, so no problems with the county's environmental services. It's through Southeast Ag. They do a lot of farming, and fields as well as golf courses, and they've had about a 70% success rate with this product, knocking them down. Doesn't totally eradicate them, but it kills the nymphs, which slows down the life cycle. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
Sounds good. Any other questions? All in favor of East Lake Parks and Rec Director's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. Bill, can you update the minutes for Phil?
I did. Mr. Phil. Yeah, thank you.
And we didn't want to mark these out. All right, Mark, the old business, and we're gonna put the new business, the BOCC budget presentations for all of, well, for East Lake, Palm Harbor Parks and Rec and East Lake Library after all the directors' reports, entity reports.
Sure. East Lake Library did theirs last week.
I'm sorry, East Lake Parks and Rec, Palm Harbor Parks and Rec, and Palm Harbor Library. See, I'm going too fast for my own good. Setting a record for my record. Palm Harbor Parks and Rec, monthly financials.
Move to approve the monthly financials.
I'll second that. I'm Bill.
I was Phil.
Any questions on the monthly financials? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. Palm Harbor Parks and Rec Directors Report.
I move to accept the director's report.
I'll second it. All right, motion is second. Erica.
Say your name. Phil did make the motion. Bill was second, but Phil was first.
It's the Phil and Bill show.
Make sure.
That's what we said.
And Andy is correct.
I don't know. Just go ahead.
Any questions on the director's report as written? As reported in the director's report, we did hire a rental specialist replacement, and Jody is still here, training her, and it's been a phenomenal first week. We're excited about it. Young lady who has experience in events and ironically worked for Bouchard. And for those of us who've been here for a couple of years know that that was our broker before they merged and became Marsh McClellan. So we're very excited about Krista. So we hope that in the months to follow, we can just keep updating you how great she's doing and improving and increasing our rental revenue. I want to give a shout out to BJ in the back of the room because he is organizing our monthly check-ins with the county project manager for the project that we're breaking ground on Friday. You guys all know that. 9 a.m. here. Those check-ins are super important because there's a simple thing. Like I asked the question when we checked in on Monday with the project manager about the gopher tortoise permit that we haven't heard anything about in 2.5 months. We can't even really probably put a shovel on the groundbreaking dirt. The tortoise is here. So I don't know if we wouldn't have had that meeting if he would have remembered to even check in on it. So thank you for doing that. They will become invaluable as we move along. That being said, the groundbreaking is happening Friday. We're extremely excited as staff. I don't know if you guys are on social media, but there might be a connection to why that's hanging in the corner of the room. Our social media marketing person thought it would be funny to AI me on a wrecking ball. And so that is on our Palm Harbor Parks and Recreation page. Am I right, Erica?
Oh, it's there.
So a minute after it got posted, my phone blew up and she was the person. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, that's hysterical. So she asked me if I would take it for the team and I said yes. So it was funny, but out of the 100+ people that were invited as VIPs like yourselves, over 70 have said they're coming. And I think that's a phenomenal just expression of how excited the people on this side of the lake are about this new facility.
If you haven't seen it, it's small, but I can put it on the big screen.
And obviously there's notification in the lobby. We put it on our social media, on our website, and it's been out. So we're expecting 100 people here. So if you are coming, come early or expect to be like tonight. The parking lot's going to be full. It'll be a short, probably half an hour program. Dave Eggers will be here to speak on behalf of the commission. I have not heard that any other commissioners are coming. I know our chairperson has responded. He'll be here. I think a couple other board members said they could come, right, Phil, Erica, Bill.
Yeah.
Those of you who can't, I understand it's the middle of the morning of a work day. I mean, I think Andy probably could go in late. It's a Friday after all. But anyway, okay.
Go along.
It is Phil. Cosmic Donuts has graciously donated, the first 100 people will get, if they get in line fast enough, donuts from donuts, and we bought some other snacks to go with it. There'll be someone from emergency management that will speak to that element of the building. The architect will speak, and then, obviously I will kick it off. I was able to get the, gentleman who has been in, he was in fire service for, I think, 28 years, Milton Smith, who, he's gonna do an invitation for us. And, he's a minister, and he's been all over the state of Florida doing, a lot of first responder stuff. So he's just a cool dude, and, you know, he'll represent our fire department. But we do have, I never heard back from anybody from the school board, but we do have, a couple fire commissioners coming, as well as some people from the past that served on our advisory board when this building was first the senior center. So it should be just a really cute half an hour of fun-filled memories and the future. Sunderman is so very close to having a certificate of occupancy. I can almost smell it in the air. We'll see if it happens in May, because we've got programming hopefully happening there in June. We at Duke Energy hooked us up with electric. We had the electrician out there hooking up the things inside the building now. We were waiting for the fire monitoring company to come in and hook their panel up. So I haven't gotten an update this week. That'll be my tomorrow morning text to say, hello, where are we? And then we'll have our finals done. I mean, it is kind of a simple project, so I can't imagine. The last update BJ and I got for the building permit for the large project is that there were a couple of comments, I quote other people on that came back from the departments at the county that were simple to rectify, that they thought that the building permit wasn't far off. I don't know, Phil, you're the contractor in the room. I'll believe it when I see the permit and we've got shovels going, but any other questions? I know we've probably got a million other things we could talk about, but in the interest of presenting our budgets in time, we'll leave it at that.
Just a quick question. Is there an update on the changes at the Palm Harbor Little League fields at all, or?
There isn't, it's in their hands. They had to submit the site plan. Whatever they submitted to the county was not accepted when it went through free site plan approval or whatever they call that.
Which is very common. Yeah, the process to submit, and then you get comments back, and then the contractor would address those comments. And there can be one round, there can be infinite round. But it depends on the contractor meeting
Right.
the requirements.
And Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you heard back from Little League. The president said that they had resubmitted the site plan last week.
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. So honestly, it's a simple project. I can't imagine it. There was some confusion on the south end parking, so I know that held things up. So I'm hopeful that now that Little League season's winding down, we can actually hit the ground running, no pun intended, and get that project moving. So, but not in my hands, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Very good. All in favor of the director's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. No new business, correct? Or old business, excuse me?
Correct.
And new business we're doing yesterday. East Lake Library. Marie, welcome.
Thank you.
Monthly financial report for East Lake Library. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve. Phil.
Second, Erica.
Okay. Have a motion to second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? So carries. Directors.
Move to approve. Phil.
Wow.
Second, Erica.
Wow, even better. Anne Marie, floor is yours. Any updates?
Not too many. It's actually surprisingly being quite a quiet month at the library, dominated by the retirement of Lewis, who gave her several large parties. It's nonstop. I can start a second career as a party planner. Our door count was way up because of it, so that was great. But we've just been really working through the transition and getting everyone used to the. With the transition came a lot of staff movements to different desks and things like that. So really just getting used to that. Dino, our new assistant director, is here tonight. Most of you know him, but he's officially assistant director in his position. He moved offices too. Really, we've just been working on our summer reading program, getting all that finalized and the contents and everything to go along with that. I did meet with the county administrators today to talk about the OCC presentation. You all saw it last month. We're going to shorten it quite a bit, and just condense everything into like 5. So it's not 17, it's going to be like 5. So, same presentation, just shorter. So, we haven't done that yet, or I could have brought it, but I'll work on that. But that's really it. Anyone got any questions?
3 questions? Yes, sir.
Emery, you put your goals in your report. Are you comfortable with those goals that were set by the advisory board?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the goals set for Emery because we didn't get hers in on the last meeting. Goals for the other directors. These would be 6-month goals.
Second.
I second.
Okay, any other further discussion on Anne Marie's goals? Motion to approve, or I'm sorry. All in favor of Dan's motion for Anne Marie's goals, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Now, any other questions on the director's report? Hearing none. All in favor of the director's report, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. And you have no old business nor new business. Palm Harbor Library monthly financial.
Motion to approve financials by
Second.
Phil.
Second, Erica, pardon.
Any questions?
Sorry, John. Who do you want to call?
I was actually expecting you to do that earlier. You didn't, and it disappointed. I almost teared. No questions. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Director's report.
Motion to approve, Phil.
Second, Erica, pardon.
Matthew.
All right, there's a lot I'll try to get through kind of quickly. We've done a few American 250 events previous, but our first big one was at the beginning of March, and we had good attendance, and it was a great partnership event with the museum, Palm Harbor Museum. AceCon, we had kind of record attendance for that. It's a family-friendly comics and anime convention that we do at the library. Lots of costumes, lots of activities, entertainment, vendors, and we had 653 in attendance. Let's see, our robotics team, a second year in a row, has won first and second place, so they'll be going on to compete in the international competition in May. Our front entrance is now 100% complete.
I was speaking yesterday.
What? No.
Let's help in that.
Yes. My heart literally just skipped a beat, actually. No, they've been functional for quite a while, but there was just a few bells and whistles and some additional gaps that needed to be, taken care of. So now that's behind us, much thanks to the county for funding that, saving us, I'm sure, probably $20,000 to $30,000. We had our meeting today as well, Eric and I, with the OMB about preparing for our budget meeting in May. Let's see, more American 250 events coming up in April. Actually, it's probably going to be a year-long thing. It'll go all the way till December, but the next couple are coming up next weekend, and one of them in partnership with Elisa's Greatest Wishes Foundation. And I'll ask Kathy Watts to put her on the spot to talk briefly about her experience with Pinellas. Is it Pinellas County University?
Yes.
If you don't mind, Kathy.
Yes, I am officially a graduate.
Yeah.
It was a 6-week course with 2 Saturday visits as well. We went around the whole Franklin County to learn about everything from zoning to water reclamation. We got to go. That was super exciting. Got to go to the dump, which I learned you're not allowed to call it that. That is a 4-letter word. So, fun fact: we will run out of room for trash in 72 years.
I'll be dead.
But last year, it was 80 years. So we lost 8 years. So we might not be dead. And we went to Heritage Village, and that was where we had our last
meeting and I made connections with the person that runs that. We're gonna have a partnership and I learned a lot. It was really great.
It looked neat on the videos they posted.
Yeah, and I'm all in the.
I did see that.
Did you want to add anything to that, BJ?
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. So Pinellas Citizens University is put on by the county for people to learn about county government and what your tax dollars go to. And this group understands much better than a lot of citizens how that works. But Kathy was able to meet a lot of the department heads that are there for things that are relevant for PHCSA. I mean, Barry presents there, our county administrator. I'm there for certain times. Chris Rose, who we know, the county budget director is there. So there's the learning component, but also the contacts component. And it's a great course, especially if you're wondering about something specific. Those are the subject matter experts. Are you worried about traffic and the commute that you make? What's happening with East Lake Road? What's happening on different corridors? What about traffic light timing? What about watering restrictions? All of those subject matter experts are there one week or another, and you can ask them directly and find out why these things are the way that they are and how they work.
And that's it for me. Thank you, BJ.
Right? How do you get picked for that? Or is it like?
Great question.
It's like entities that request people to be part of it or how?
So I reached out to the VP teams on that, but anyone can apply, any citizen of Pinellas County. So we had both unincorporated residents and incorporated. So you can be in a city and you're also a citizen, but it happens once a year and an application process.
Does it have a cost to it or?
So
No, that's what's great. Actually, you're right, because I met 2 people from the Feather Sound. They were in my class too.
Yep. So Feather Sound also has a community service agency board, and they were able, Kathy was able to meet.
Nice job.
All right, Jeff. Any questions on the director's report for Palm Harbor Library? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Old business. And then the new business is the BOCC budget presentation. However, who wants to go first? You tell me, how is it lined up?
They're both, I mean, our
Yours
Our
about,
is combined in Marks and Solar. Does
I
it
can go first.
go first?
Go first.
All right. Well, hopefully the laptop works for you, Mark. I never promised a technology. You expecting me to be your next person? I mean, just
Do you want to
next.
advance the slides or do you want to do it?
Oh, yeah, I can.
There you go. I just use the arrow. When you're ready, Frank.
So this is my yearly budget meeting. Just to kind of give you a brief description. I don't want to read everything on here, but yeah, I won't.
I'm not reading you.
So our introduction at the heart of every thriving community is a place where people can connect, play, and go. East Lake Recreation Town only served as a youth sports complex, but as a hub for health, wellness, and community engagement. That's, I don't want anybody to start crying here. And a little bit about our history. I think you all know, we started in 2014. We're the 4th entity of the PHCSA family. And it was in response to East Lake Youth Sports Association not being able to meet their the expenses and the needs of the community. Just a few facts about Eastlake. It's 31.6 square miles, has a population of approximately 33,000. It's a growing community with many young families in need of recreational services. And basically, we're the only game in town, the only field around. And our mission statement was to provide high quality, inclusive, and safe athletic facilities that promote wellness, youth development, and sportsmanship. And then our vision statement, more about what we want to do in the future, is to expand our primarily youth-focused sports complex by adding additional fields, parking, and amenities, to better serve the growing needs of North Pinellas County residents. Our main sports that we offer are football, soccer, cheerleading, baseball. Some highlights of each sport. Baseball, as you can see, they're very successful, 10U district champions, some tournament championships, 11U, 12U, both champions. 14U was a champion in the fall and a runner-up in the spring. And our 16Us were runners-up both in the fall and spring. So very successful, and some team photos. Soccer accomplishments, 2011 girls team were national champions in the regional league. 13 senior girls were offered college scholarships to play soccer, and 7 accepted those. And our top soccer program, as I've talked about in the past, for individuals with special needs, has been successful and has grown. Football cheerleading, our 2025 Mighty Mites were Florida Grand Champions. That was in cheer. They also placed 3rd place in nationals, which is really impressive. The flyweights were the Super Bowl champions in the football, and some of the other accomplishments. The one I like to highlight is the last one here. It's the 39 Eastlake Eagle football and cheer participants were awarded as either first or second team All-American scholars for their success in the classroom. And what's interesting about that is a 3.8 grade point or 3.6 grade point average for second, and a 3.8 for second, and a 3.9 for first. So that's really impressive. So involvement in our facility gets used and the community is involved. Approximately 3,300 youth participate in organized sports. Each year, estimate of attendance between 200,000 and 300,000, and our volunteer hours number well above the estimated 20,000 per year. I can't remember what a few years ago we did what the cost was for the hourly cost. You guys remember what that was? But anyway, it amounts to a quite substantial sum. Some of the accomplishments, there were many. I think I put the wrong slide on there though, because I had some pictures of some of the accomplishments. So I'll fix that. And our needs and projects, the Meadows expansion, restroom facilities at the Meadows, that's a huge one right now. Because right now, before we just had some porta potties out there. And now we upgraded to a trailer, and which was nicer. But it's still, like I was out there this weekend, and I called out to do some plumbing on the toilet, so that wasn't fun. But anyway, that we really need to get a building out there, so we're going to make that a priority too. The community building with office space, which has been there forever, as one of our needs, and then additional recreational offerings such as pickleball, tennis, basketball courts. So our main project that we've been working on is expanding our Meadows area. And we want to build 3 new fields. And this, I don't know if you're all familiar with out there, but I got a little pointer here. Yeah, we have a little pointer.
It's
Not showing there, okay. Anyway, what I was gonna say is this area right here is our existing fields and our existing parking. And then this area right here, where I'm going around, this is the projected trail that's gonna be built, wildlife trail by Pinellas County. And inside that, we've had to quite a fit for our fields and buildings and our additional parking. This is additional parking, buildings. And that's the plan. We're in the middle of working through that. Bill had a long ways to go. Right now, we're trying to get special secret permission from the FCT to continue on with the project, and we found out recently that we may or may not have permission to do that. So,
You put signs along the trail says, to your right, you'll see the native U16 girls soccer players,
yeah,
in the wild.
well, this was a requirement when they got the land grant from Florida Commission or Florida Community Trust, that they had to put in this trail. So they let us put the other two fields in there, so we'll see what happens with that. This is kind of the vision of what we want, like the meadows to look like for fields and session building and volleyball courts. So ad valorem, just wanted to let the commissioners know that we appreciate the money that they've given us. The 2.5 or 0.25 millage rate, what my 2026 budget was approximately. And then what we do with that money, approximately 70% of the budget goes to operating, and the remaining 30% goes into capital reserves for future projects. So saving investments in CDs and money market over the years result in $982,943 in our Raymond James portfolio as of March 31st. And then that's in addition to the money in our bank account as of April 1st was $774,536. So we have substantial amount of money. But I want to make it clear to the commissioners that that money is earmarked for special projects. And we've been doing that along the way. You know, every time we meet with the commissioners, letting them know. So that's still a far cry of the kind of money that we need for the projects, because the Meadows projects is probably at least 10 million. So in addition to the ad valorem, and with the help of the ad valorem, our strategic goals would be to complete the engineering phase of the Meadows expansion project, establish 501c3 nonprofit organization, which we're already involved in, and launch 3 new revenue streams to support the Meadows expansion project by the end of the fiscal year 2027. So, and again, to help that funding, in addition to what we get from the county, we're going to initiate a capital campaign to raise funds through major gift sponsorships and community contributions, leverage our new 501c3, launch targeted social media campaign, host fundraising events, and apply for grants, financial aid, and land use loans. So what's great about this is we've partnered with East Lake Library, and they've really helped move this along because they're much more experienced in that than we are. But we really want to thank East Lake Library for that. So in conclusion, East Lake Recreation still has many unmet needs. Essential important asset for the community. Improve the facilities to offer best experience. It's essential that East Lake Recreation be able to expand and develop more fields in North County. Because we really need to do that because in unincorporated, besides us and Palm Harbor Parks and Recreation, the only other unincorporated areas are Thunder Sound and yeah.
Lillman.
So, and really up here in north, it's just us.
Yeah.
So for the amount of population that we have, we really are in need of, especially on the north side and the east side of the lake, more recreational amenities at least. So at least some restrooms. So then, as part of what we did with East Lake Community Library and worked in collaboration with them, we started our first Deck to Rec community event. And so I have a little video to show you how that went. Grinch was a big. I'm looking for a life like you. So I'd just like to open up to questions and say thank you. No questions?
The money you guys have in your Raymond James and all that, what was the source of that? Was that carryover from
Yes.
the advisory board?
No,
Okay,
that was part of the ad valorem dollars that we got.
okay.
That's money that isn't paid. That's what.
Right, well, and that's and yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna get at is that because with the questioning of taxes and everything else like that, the ad valorem should not be touched on the homestead of properties. We might want to be a little bit more cognizant on broadcasting how much we got in reserves. Would you not agree, BJ?
Yeah, it's a sensitive time with the dollars that the commission is looking at. And what's a possibility, and I said this today in all the meetings we met with all the entities as well as some other special districts. And we never know what the commission's going to ask, of course, but having answers to questions is the most important thing. They're going to do what they want to do. So if you do broadcast that, just make sure that you make it crystal clear. We have those dollars earmarked for this thing, whatever that is, and paint that vision.
So I thought we discussed that at our meeting and I thought that was made pretty clear.
Well,
And I said I would do that at the presentation, but I can certainly take that slide out if you don't think that's a good idea.
no, I don't think you should. I think it's like what BJ says, and you said it too, just to make sure it's absolutely crystal clear what that darn near $1 million is sitting there for.
Right.
Because if they see that and there's no clear picture, they're gonna go, well, wait a minute, we give you 1.6, yet you have $1 million sitting in the bank. What are we doing?
That's why we get in front of the commissioners to tell them exactly what we're doing.
Right,
On a regular basis.
Okay.
So on an annual basis, how much extra money are you getting, are you banking?
About between Bake and that about 50,000.
So $50,000 is all, so the $1.6 million.
What's it, what we get a year?
The tax money you're getting on an annual basis, how much extra money is going into your Raymond James account from that $1.6 million? You said $50,000?
No, that's kind of what the profit is, basically. So what we started with is about 600,000, I think.
I think you just need to understand what that number is.
Right. How, right.
That's what I'm saying.
And what Bill's saying is that of your 1.6 that you're getting in your ad, what's 1.3? What's your ad valorem that you're bringing in?
1.1.
1.1. So that $1.1 million annually.
Right.
How much is annually from that 1.1 going into your Raymond James?
Maybe 200.
Okay, perfect. And it's just numbers at that,
Yeah.
that time, but it's just, what are you earmarking that for? So, okay, that was all. Just having clarity, that's it. We just don't want to have, we just don't want to have the commissioners.
Sometimes it's there like, one year it wouldn't be maybe anything.
That's what I would really just.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and this
Yeah.
is just a weird year.
I know, this is a weird year.
We've had more budget meetings this year than I have had in 15.
I'm sure you guys
No,
have.
it's true. With the budget office, we've never had this many meetings with Crossroads ever.
But I was even,
There's a bump from the storm, which is a big question mark that the county has. We're going into our second year, and for those of you on the meetings, you heard this from Chris today. But the second year after a major storm or two storms like we had is tough to plan for the budget office. And Chris Rose mentioned his experience starting out in budget during Hurricane Andrew, and he was down south, and so he's experienced this before. It is a known unknown, and the property appraiser is being very tight-lipped, where they often have forecasts that they share, and that's one of the reasons why we have that,
Right.
as well as
And then couple that with what's Tallahassee's saying.
legislature. Yeah,
right.
What Tallahassee's not saying.
Well, I'm thinking I might take that slide out and just keep that in my hip pocket in case they,
Ask the question.
ask the question.
It's not a bad idea.
I think it's also, I like how you highlighted your goals, seeking out other financial, like scholarships, grants, private donations, like really tapping into that stuff is what they probably want to hear. 'Cause they're super like, want to give you at least enough, that's. I like that.
Awesome. Yes. No, very good. Any other questions?
Comment, say, if you keep the slide in, maybe at the top, you say, we're thinking our vision projects are in the range of 10 to 15 million. That's the number they see. And you say, and we have $1 million here. So now all of a sudden they're like, oh, they don't have enough. So instead of thinking you have too much, you're playing it as you don't have
Yeah,
enough.
that's good. That's a good idea.
They have to see the 10 million or whatever.
Yeah, I would downplay that. Yeah, good point.
Because it seems like a lot, but it's really not.
Nope.
$15 million field.
I like that framing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. So the picture is that $10 to $15 million project that you're trying to figure out. We have $1 million.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
So if there's an ask, it's not going to be as much because of everything else that they're going to be doing for donations and everything. So yeah, that's a good way to frame it.
As long as that $15 million field is wanted by the people. Probably have that as a,
Yes.
also needed and wanted.
Well, one of the things that we're working on now too is, from trying to get data from the community. We don't have a lot of it right now. We had a survey out, which didn't do much. But we're gonna continue down that road, maybe have a professional do that for us. Do some research for us on that.
Because the best data you've got to present, the better your case is to fall through.
Is there any way to get all the email addresses from like Little League, the football
Yeah.
games, all this stuff? And
Yeah, we have that, and we discussed that at our advisory board meeting last night.
Matthew's gonna use elections, right, Matthew?
All right, who's up? Any other questions for Mark on that? Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
your input.
Thanks. All right,
You ready?
Erica and Matthew up next.
Fine, there it is. But first I have to shout out to Trish, because she does all the hard work. I just get to stand up here and show you. You hear his comment? She's standing.
I thought that's what.
So this is just basically an overview of what our budget looks like and what we'll be receiving, good Lord willing, that everything gets approved the way we're hoping. And what I have budgeted for each of our largest sections of our budget. You know, the miscellaneous revenue comes from things like if we get a sponsor for an event or, maybe someone decides to buy the Easter candy and we don't have to, things like that. Facility rentals or anything, not just here in this building or a building rental over in Harbor Hall. It could be that field out back, could be home field rentals and things like that. Special events are the things like the Easter Bunny breakfast that just happened or the Hurricane Expo that's happening. I think we're up to 8 or 9 events a year. We're doing a shred event at the end of this month, so that falls into that category as well. Hopefully our millage assessment stays where it's supposed to stay. We're hoping. And that's a breakdown there in kind of, obviously you see how the numbers, the biggest one is personnel, and then the little circles get smaller as it goes. I'm still very proud of that number at personnel at only being 43%. That's actually very low industry-wide. If you go looking at the national averages, it's much higher than that. So you'll see a slide say, I won't blow the surprise, but for the staff that we have, the 6 facilities that we run and all the programs that we compete with the YMCA and Dunedin and Tarpon and Safety Harbor, and to only have a 43% personnel line, that gives kudos to these guys that are here in the room and not in the room. The grounds care line is not just the company that we hired to take care of the grass. It's also things like when we fix the irrigation and we do things like that. Miscellaneous is, Beth takes up a large part of that with Shelby and Blake, but there's also things that are like fire monitoring and things like that. These are the facilities that we are currently running. You probably have been to some of them. I know, Erica, you visit one more than others in that facility range, but we didn't know how it would go when we inherited Harbor Hall and Whitechapel, which was in 2012. We did not get any more millage to inherit those 2 buildings. We also didn't get any more millage, and I think the county forgets that we inherited Pop Stansel around that time. I think they saw a new director in 2011 and said, let's give her all the gifts. We got no more millage ad valorem either to run that facility. The chamber was in charge of it at that point, and they didn't want to do it anymore.
What
So
does Putnam look like, Popsdale?
I was gonna ask this.
I don't know. It did it again. No, this has happened like 4 times. Thank you. We'll fix it. We have fixed that picture no less than 4 times. And for whatever reason, thank you. We'll have to fix it again. That's not the picture we had there.
Nobody else would know now.
Sure,
I'm glad you said that.
The pictures are the same.
No, I know. It's rather over there. I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, we'll fix it again. Hopefully it doesn't, I don't know, the one we sent to the county, we'll have to check.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we do. We tried to put whatever we could in there, but the more things you put on the slide, it's harder for people like back there. But that's what I did want to blow was we're a small department doing big things. When I started here in 2003, nobody knew we were even on the street. Matter of fact, the sign on the street wasn't even legible, and I had to kind of come out and redo the sign. It needs to be redone again, and so hopefully they'll change our name out there to say Palmer Parks and Rec, and not, I don't know what it says out there, CSA, the center, or whatever. But what I heard a couple of weeks ago from someone who was one of the founding members that started this facility was that he was happy to see that we are doing so much still for seniors, because that was a huge concern when this turned into a recreation facility, not just a senior center. And we do a ton of programming. You guys don't get to see it when you come at night because all the rats are here, but during the day we do a ton of programming. They are for adults that are 50 plus. And we also have leagues now outside for 50 plus. So that's a testament again to the great staff that 3 of the 4 managers that are here take care of during the day. And then our last slide is our future. This is where we're hoping to go. You'll see in the lower left slide, you're like, what is that, Erica? So Palm Field is on our list because we don't own that field, but this is one of the projects that I worked really hard to get the church to actually sign a 25-year lease with us. We've never had that. We've had a year-to-year, most we had a 5-year. My predecessor would never go in there and push them. I pushed them. They signed a 25-year lease because I told them if I'm ever going to have an opportunity to get any funding to upgrade that facility, that's what I need. So I actually had a meeting today. This is not for the PHCSA, it's for you guys, with a grant person, believe it or not, remotely from South Africa. That it's an organization that could work with all of us, by the way, to procure potentially for a fee, of course, money to upgrade that. We also have the opportunity to upgrade the lights in the interim and get a low interest loan. And I saw that on your slide. So that is a question for this board when we finish with Matthew. I do want to know if that's legally allowed to do to get a low interest loan because those lights at that field are A, not safe because they don't emit the correct number of lumens, and B, after 2024, those fixtures are falling down. The last repair that was done, the company said, I can't get the parts for it. And literally, if you go down Nebraska and you look in right field, for those of you who know what right field is, it's the pole that's on Nebraska. the lights are being held up by a rope right now. So eventually, we're not gonna have lights at that field and or someone's gonna get hurt. So I want to take care of Palm Field this year, one way or other. I'm gonna go after grant money, but in the interim, I want to see if I can get low interest loan to at least get the lighting done, and then we can go after turf and irrigation and all that other stuff, because that field has nothing. So,
Eastlake Rec might loan you the money.
yeah, maybe. They got 1 point. No, I'm just kidding.
Low interest.
So, any questions before I turn over the laptop to my colleague in the library? Yes, sir.
I think it might, in your back pocket, or maybe you can say it. When you show the revenues, I would emphasize that you are the low cost provider. So that people know that, yeah, you might be getting 600 a day, whatever fees for camps. But if you compare that to where they can go elsewhere, so I mean, that could be a higher number. You should tell them that.
Fair.
That it could be higher, but we want to be low.
And I think you said something earlier when we were talking that we're a service agency, and that's what we're trying to do is keep our affordable programming for people that, because you're right, we're not a Y, we're not Camp Cover at the Methodist Church. We are a public service agency. And yes, we've had to increase our pricing over the years because everybody does, but you're right, Dan. And that's something, and I will point out, and I think I spoke to you, BJ, a little bit about it, that, you know, we did capitalize money. I had over $1 million in our capital account. But because we don't get capital money, there are projects like this floor that I knew we needed to replace. It was from 1999. So every year since I became director, we penny pinched and put money away every year. The first year in 2011, we only put $50,000 to open up a second account. That's all we had. And then the next year, maybe it was 75 and 100. But we've reinvested that into the assets the county owns. And it's important that the county realizes that, to your point. I'm not saving at this point for a $10 million project because I was lucky enough to get a penny project. But the $500,000 project at Sunderman, that was money that we were good stewards of to make sure that the community got an asset and the county gets an asset that'll be here long after I'm gone. So that will come up as well as the self-earned money at an affordable price. DJ?
Yeah. One of the things that's going to enter their heads when they see about, low cost provider, if you bring that up, is, well, how are you doing with the YMCA there? For this board, that's long in the past. But for the county commission, they're not as tuned in as you all. Well, what's that relationship like? Which I think is a great relationship now. And you work with them and you have, I think, an MOU with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might need to just be touched on a little bit if you bring up the, being the low cost service provider for Palm Harbor.
Do you think, in your best opinion, because you're more tuned in than we are, that I bring that up or I wait to be asked?
I would.
Like the way Nowicki asked
Yeah.
at the workshop.
Yep.
And I addressed it with them
Yep.
the next week, but
So they might not bring it up because they already brought it up, but there are many things that are reoccurring themes.
yeah, and I get it. And he's had that question, like Alice had it, and Sure's had it. So I'm prepared to answer that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm surprised maybe you shouldn't have to, but what you just stated about the fact that you built that building at Sunderman, that's not a point, a bigger in your face to the county saying.
Well, we put it on that last slide as, part of the future.
Well, but you already paid for it. So, you built it, didn't cost the county a penny. It was your stewardship and forward looking.
Oh, I'll hammer that home live, I promise you.
Okay.
No, I will. I mean,
I think you should.
You should.
no, and
Absolutely.
I think I brought that subject up to you, BJ, that is part of our goal every year when we get together and we talk about things. And those three back there in the room can tell you that I'm a budget bitch, for lack of better words, and they know that if they're gonna spend the money, it better be necessary.
Well,
And that's why we save money every year.
it's the thing, like you said, BJ, it's like, you need to tell the commissioners, it isn't always give me. I saved this money. It was it was my stewardship that gave us the money that we were able to build this building that I'm pretty much given to the county because the county's getting it. So
Well, and many
we're
may
giving
not,
back
but
as
many
well.
may not remember when we talked about this project coming up in 2017, when it got on the ballot and got approved. I looked and I researched, Trish researched what it would cost us to put a portable. I even asked you
Yep.
what your company was. And the cost to have a portable on property for 2 years was gonna be upwards of $300,000. Now we're 9 years later, had I gotten a portable, it would have been way more than $500,000.
Right.
That's why we pulled the trigger, made the decision to build something that became a permanent asset instead of renting a portable and spending $300,000 pretty much to rent something and have it go bye-bye if it was only 2 years. But based on the way that project's going, it was way more than 2 years.
Just a general comment, it might be interesting, how many people are using the facilities? Because again, we're paying tax dollars into it. How many people, you talk about several programs, but you could have 150,000 kids coming through the.
And I can pull that number that they get out of our annual report in March. I could absolutely have
Because there
that.
may be something there that, for each one of the entities, I mean, that to me is kind of the check and balance.
Yeah.
Because again, we're spending X number of dollars for facilities, but if no one's attended them, no one's coming to them, it doesn't really do anything.
Right.
What is, you gotta be satisfying the customer needs.
Yeah, I mean, we can reiterate that, Bill, but just for the board's knowledge, we send them an annual report every March and they get those numbers in that annual report that you guys see.
Okay.
So I mean, we absolutely, I don't have a problem with saying it again. I don't,
Maybe you don't need to highlight it then.
I don't think it hurts
I
us
didn't
to
think
repeat
it
it
was-
if it's a good number.
It's just a thought, yeah.
Yeah, you can go with it.
Anything else? Thank you all. After you, concert. You know, this is love. Can you make a joke for me? Because you know, I'm not standing up before you get the chair.
All good. All right. Thank you very much, Erica. And so, yeah, this is our budget snapshot, broken down in percentages. And, as you can see, the bulk of our revenue does come in from those ad valorem dollars, followed closely behind from the Pinellas Public Library Cooperative, for PPLC, who distribute state aid to all the libraries in the area, including Eastside Library and all the other libraries in Pinellas County. And then we do what we can to fundraise and get interest income on investments and trying to learn those lessons about, financial stewardship and reinvesting money. We've been working on that as aggressively as we can to start developing those capital funds. And then the annual MSTU, if we get it approved, which we hope does get approved this year. And then, of course, the smaller like rentals and fees and that kind of thing. And then on the expenses side, it is mostly personnel, 60%, not as low percentage as Parks and Rec, but we try to be as efficient as we can. We've earlier this year, unfortunately, we lost Jeanette Malouf, who's our founder. And before she was the library director, she was the star volunteer and led a barrage of volunteers. We have this great history of volunteerism through the Palm Harbor Library. So we've kept that going, partially for the budget efficiency of it all and being able to actually operate the library, which is very busy. If you ever drive by our parking lot, you see cars in there all the time. It's a very actively used place. But also because it's a way to connect with the community and engage with them and really provide meaningful opportunities. And so when we look at ROI, that has to do with not only what we're bringing in, but what we're trying to put out in terms of programs and services, and that's measured through attendance and annual visits, like you're talking about, Bill. We're at around 160,000 visits per year, but I don't have the other numbers with me. Okay, let's see here. And so this is what we busy ourselves doing when we're so very busy all the time. These are kind of the maybe normal activities in that first column, what you might expect as story times and book clubs, but a lot of other kind of specialized things that we do from time to time. The live music concerts that we do are actually funded by our friends of the library. That was one of those other revenue sources that we get just behind PPLC. And then we do special things from time to time. I talked about AceCon a little bit earlier on. We do our annual Artful Evening, which is not just a fundraiser. It's actually a really big event that honors our mission to support the arts in the area. And then special things like RoboFest and summer reading. And of course, a safe and welcoming place for Election Day. And then we have a number of different partners that we work with. Palm Harbor Museum is in our building every month, not just helping us with America 250 things, but presenting all different kinds of things that are important about the local historical history that we have. And then we try to give back to the community as much as we can we collect regularly in our lobby, and then we do specialized things throughout the year. Sometimes one-offs, and sometimes just at certain times of the years, like when we do Silver Santas during the winter time to collect for seniors. And here's just a little bit of a breakdown of the things that are in our building. We do have over 90,000. It's actually probably closer to 95,000. Maybe I should update that number. But in addition to the things that you might expect, both on-site and online, like books and audiobooks and streaming movies and music and that kind of thing, we also have library of things. So musical instruments and cameras. And I mentioned earlier, we have an America 250 event coming up that's going to be featuring American Girl doll. We're going to have a new American Girl doll collection that will come with their accompanying book, and those are connected to certain parts of American history that kids can find out about in a fun way. And then outdoor as well. And then within the library, we have those art alcoves, again, honoring our art mission, and then specialized spaces for all the different age groups and in different places, different things that people can use. Like that Learning Commons is not just for literacy and genealogy. There are individual tutors and homeschool groups that are coming in all the time to use that space. And it's a very well used, very well loved, and very, unfortunately, very noisy because there's only so much space in the building to be able to accommodate that. Just some highlights from what we've been working on. Last year was a lot about that 100 years of Palm Harbor, which we were honored to host the kickoff for in the library. And the proclamation that came from the BOCC was read there. And we replaced some outdated shelving, and we had a big jump in our use of online resources, especially. That was even bigger than the year before. And then this year, we won Nonprofit Business of the Year from our Chamber of Commerce, which we were very proud of. We hit a new ceiling for our Artful Evening. And something I did not mention here, because I need to add it to the slide, is something I mentioned to you all earlier in the meeting, which is that we had a second year of winning the local Rowboat Fest that the kids participate in. So I'll be adding that to the slide as well. And then there's the future that we've already talked about with the different entities here today. It's in our current strategic plan, which was developed several years ago before I came on board, that put examining spaces and expansion and renovation as one of the priorities to explore. So we're going to continue exploring that in the nearby future to see basically how we can accommodate some of that growth that is really badly needed. We kind of exceeded our capacity in certain specific ways, probably about 20 years ago. Died down a little bit during the COVID pandemic for a couple of years, but now it's kind of roaring back. It's a very well-loved, very noisy library. We love that because we want people to have a place where they can use, but there's probably a lot that could be done to accommodate space, not only for ourselves providing programming, but all of our partners who use the building, like the Chamber of Commerce and the Main Street Association and the museum, and whenever they might need it, our entity partners. And then we also have a big anniversary coming up in a couple of years. We are turning 50. So we're going to be starting to make plans for that. I think that's it.
Very nice.
Good. Any questions for Matthew?
I can't even like go back. Oh, she came in under I can
Steal my thunder.
She's singing right field instead.
And what are these being presented?
May 14th.
Before.
I think
Go
we
on
said,
like 10?
Yeah.
Aren't you on at 10?
I think so.
I think we said we're going to be sending the PowerPoint to the OMB Friday, maybe. So if anybody has any last minute feedback for us, please let us know.
Or you can get a picture and you're gonna change
Did
your,
they say we had to have this Friday?
if there were any changes, she'd like it in by Friday or Monday. Veronica can send it to us.
Well, that's our liaison. I don't know
I
what
don't
the
know.
liaison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, really, they
Because
need
I want
it.
to
They
make
need
some
it
changes.
before the end of the month. So somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It gives a little differently. Mark presents at 9:40. And then I go with 10, he goes with 10, and then Andrew goes at 2.
Okay. All right, moving on, committee reports, audit committee.
So the audit is, the RFP is ready to go. So I'm going to, board allows, I'm gonna send that to Shelby to send out. I have a few names of auditors that I'm recommending you send it to. If anyone else has an auditor they want to throw in the mix besides the one we use, a couple names I have, let me know, or let Shelby know. More the merrier, right? And people know about it, the better. We may even consider posting it publicly, so.
Andy, what's the name of the fire department's auditor? Do you know? Sorry, I know it's a spot, I can't think of it either.
Yeah. No, it would be a good idea probably to look at the fire department's ones, because they just,
Yeah, you want me to email the chief and ask him? And
Yeah,
I can
please.
email you the name?
Yeah.
that's,
I'll do that now before.
we're pretty happy.
Or just Shelby's.
Okay,
I'm
I'll just email it to Shelby. Then you
And
leave.
me.
Okay,
I think it's the same one that Leo.
I just know we seem pretty happy with the job they do, so.
Yeah.
All right, any questions? Old business, benefit analysis report. Beth, you're on.
So I looked at the benefits, for Oldsmar, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, and Pinellas County, and I compared them to our benefits. I don't think that there were any surprises there. And that was that the ones that were glaringly, different were, the dependent coverage contributions that, PHCSA provides. We provide, a set amount to the employee cost. And then we use that same amount, for employee and spouse and employee and children and employee and family. I think that I know that the directors are all aware of that and have looked at their budgets, and I just don't think that there's any room for them to spend any more towards that health insurance cost. The other one that was different was the IRA contributions. Due to our IRA, we can only match up to 4%. It seems that most other cities match up to 8%. Last year, we did look at our IRA and thought about maybe going to a 401k, but the costs associated with that were also great. And so there was a decision budgetarily wise not to go that route. We will revisit that again this fall and rebid that out. Mike Shenson is our representative, and I think he has access to other things other than a 401k options, and he will give us some sort of other options that we can look at. But those are really the only two that were majorly different. Did look at PTO, holiday, some towns have sick time and vacation rather than PTO. Looked at dental, vision, short-term disability, long-term disability, and life insurance. So all of that was looked at.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Beth, did you see anything about a pension? Is that included in?
So the only one that does a pension is Pinellas County. The other towns do a 401k. And they do it, just for an example, Oldsmar does a 401a, they do an 8% contribution, but you're 50% vested at 5 years and 100% vested at 6 years. PHCSA, we do the 4%, but you're 100% vested on day one. So that's just, and the other ones were similar to that, with the 8% and the vesting schedule, we're a little off, but that's about it. So, but the only one that does the pension is Pinellas County.
With the dependent coverage, dollar wise, how far off the stakes though?
Sure. So I'll just give you PHCSA cost first. So let's just do employee and spouse. PHCSA spends $878. Oldsmar spends $1,500. But the cost to the employee for employee and spouse is $1,100 versus Oldsmar, the employee is paying $414. So obviously, so that 700 is obvious.
And the biggest swing is the dependent coverage, Beth, would you say?
For
Or
all of
spouse?
them, spouse, children, and family are also family.
Family coverage is where the big swing is, right?
They're all big, I think. I mean, you go from $1,000 to 400 for employee and spouse, employee and children. Our staff is paying 1,000. Oathmar's only paying 280. Family, our staff is paying 2,200 and they're paying 600. So, that's just one city. They're all very similar to that. Percentage wise, you know, and
From a census standpoint, Beth, would you say, and I'm putting you on the spot, if you don't know it, you can tell us later, but out of all of our covered lives, which is about 55 lives, is it? Ish?
for
For
insurance,
health insurance.
I think that it's around 50.
Okay, so around
45 to 50.
50 covered lives, what percentage would you say just takes employee only versus family?
So right now we have two families. And that's it. At some point, there was an employee and spouse. There were two different people with employee and spouse in this last year, that had dropped that. I did not do the further analysis since there was no budgetary to say, hey, how many people are married and how many people do have family, and look at those.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
That
but there's no way of knowing, does the wife have better coverage? That's why they're not even looking, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
now
and
you're
I
getting
could give
down
you
to the
statistics
Yeah.
on how many
minutia,
people
yeah.
are married and all of that. But since you said that it's not even really in the budget to do, there's.
Yeah, I can't imagine
No,
how we could squeeze that.
you're already paying $178. I'm not sure how you could pay, $1,500 to $1,800.
Was there a survey on local salaries as far as how those compare as well?
No,
Or is it
I was
just-
told to
just
do
benefit?
benefit,
Just
yeah, so. I did benefit.
What about the richness of the plans, the difference between Old
The
Smart
plans
and
were all similar.
all similar? Okay.
Yeah.
Same deductibles. same
So
everything.
like, and actually, we don't have a deductible, and Oldsmar has $1,000 deductible, but, you're looking at a $250 deductible at another city, so really there wasn't the primary, I looked at deductible, primary, doctor, specialist doctor, hospital costs, and prescription costs, and in general, there wasn't a.
And like max out of pocket. was similar.
I was about to ask that.
Right, max out of pocket, right, because we don't have a deductible, but we have a larger max out of pocket of 5,000 versus somebody else who may have a higher deductible, but max out of pocket. So it was all very similar. I mean, I wouldn't say not enough they were all very similar. There wasn't, I think there was one town who did have a really cheap plan, but I looked at their plan that was comparable to ours. I think they offered 3 different plans, and I looked at their plan that was comparable to ours.
Okay. Any other questions about female benefits?
If I'm doing the math right, so if we said we're gonna add another 4%, that would be less of a bump to their 401k, say. We match 8 instead of 4. That would be less of a burden than actually improving the health insurance, dollar for dollar, right?
So I think the thing with that, when you look at that, is because who can afford to put in the 8%? So you're really looking at how many people are participating in the IRA now, and then look at what percentages that they're already putting in. So if they're only putting in 2, and we say, hey, we'll match 4, are those 2%ers going to put in the 6 or 8% that because we say that we can match? So I think you can it'd have to be a deeper analysis into looking at the budgetary and saying, okay, we're doing 8%, but who are the people who can afford to put in 8% that we're going to do? And those are probably your higher paid people though. And so your higher paid people are now, they're 8% of their, $80,000 salary. Let's just throw that number out there. 8% of 80,000 versus somebody of 8% at 25,000. And are they even going to be able to afford that or not? Some do, some don't, because they have spouses or they're older, and now this is just their job and kind of part-time and they're saving right now, but I'd have to really dive deeper into that.
Plus, aren't we limited on our current IRA to only?
Currently,
4%?
Yes, but I think that when we have the other options, first of all, could we afford that? And then second of all, then look at, well, what percentage would we want to match?
Correct.
And just a question, does that come to fix, and does that stay with the entity to make their own decision? Because they changed the pension last year on their own or the year before. So that wouldn't even come to us. If they decided to go 8%, wouldn't even come to a vote here.
Right, when we went from 3 to
It
4%, they just said that it was in their budget.
That's what's in their budget. They're locking one with themselves. So that's not even our issue.
Yeah.
I'll just share that with you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Technically, neither is the health insurance.
Health insurance is a tough one, guys, and I agree with your attack. I mean, we need to do the analysis, we need to do a deep dive, we need to really understand the deductibles. Dollar for dollar, we need to do a comparison to see where do we put our money going forward. Because that one scares the heck out of me all the time, because it's always about benefits.
That still falls on the directors.
It does, it does,
Yeah,
it does fall on the
that's
directors, it does, but is there a better plan out there that you're gonna be finding and hopefully steer it that? Yeah, you're right, Phil. It is on the directors, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So on that note, Bill, just so, right now, we just had open enrollment and we stayed with the same plan because we actually, it only went up, I think, 7%, due to some discounts we got and so on and so forth. But the year before, we did change the plan
Yeah.
because we did have to change our pocket just to make it less expensive.
Yeah, it's just-
There were some
Tough
major
climate right
expenses.
now.
well, even before that, Humana gave up doing commercials, so we had to get out of Humana to United.
Ben, do you have any data on exit interviews or your interactions with the employees of PHCSA that they're demanding this or complaining about benefits or salaries or anything? Do you have?
I have not had anybody talk about benefits per se. Salaries, I would say not even just exit interviews, but other employees have mentioned that. And that is in my performance review goal to start looking at that. That's actually on my topic for PHCSA 7 tomorrow, to look at salaries of our current staff members.
And part of that key attribute of that one, is how much turnover is that you can't hire people. If we're having these gaps from months and months and months because we can't hire them, so that's a problem. So that means we're not having enough money to into, even our directors all the way down to our employees. I mean, that's tough. You got to keep ahead of it, but remember the county though, even though the benefits are better, they get 0 raises. They got a cost of living increase per year. They never get a performance review. They don't get annual income. They get it. They got a cost of living increase period. That's all they get. So they get better benefits, but they do not get unless they change their jobs. So again, that's a totally different, we play with both. We're constantly, feeling all that. So it's a different game of plans.
I think that we have a large range of ages in our organization and a large range of people who are just out of school or in school and no kids. And then we just looked at this first party we're doing. We don't have a lot of people with kids. And then we have the people with the grown kids, and so I think that that's looking at our demographics. Who needs family coverage and who needs spousal coverage? How many of that is really in proportion to what our demographics are?
High inflationary times we're going through right now, that's another issue for all our employees. That's just, how do we make sure we're paying enough?
And then that comes back down to that, probably that's
Exactly right.
more.
All right. Lois's exit interview. Beth again. You're on the hot seat.
I hope you read the, I don't know how many pages this is, but, I'm not gonna go through it one by one and on there, but, I did sit down, I gave Lois questions that were provided by one of the PHCSA board members. And, so it was, I think you guys had an opportunity to turn in your questions and this is what came out of it. She did write it. first, and then her and I sat down and we did go through it one by one, and her answers to make sure that I had a good understanding of what she was trying to verbalize overall. So I am just gonna leave it open for any questions you might have. If there's any clarification.
Did you see anything that we should be addressing as a fix it board that you would call out? Any points that you think are worthy of us addressing?
I feel like she does have some opinions about the fixed board meetings. I don't know if that's something that you want as a whole want to look at. I don't know if she necessarily says how to remedy that. I feel the other thing that she does put out there is the 2 separate boards. Again, I think she also says that that's probably not going to happen just because of the process would take too long but I thought those were 2 things that were board related, fix a board related.
Andy, what's your take on that? Because that's a legal question, isn't it?
No, it goes back to this board's responsibility. Ultimately, how you want to deal with those day-to-day operations.
No, separating that one.
She had a comment about separating because of the
No, I
way
read that.
the votes are.
But you can't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It comes back to this
Right.
board.
Yeah.
For their, this is the board.
Yeah, I did this, yeah, I agree with you, Andy. I was hoping.
I mean, that's been wishes that people may have had, but you have to, the county would have.
Yeah, it just. Even with the county police, I mean, you have a certain voting, I mean, you gotta vote. So, yeah.
But if the board wanted it, they could register it, you know? I'm just saying, I mean, I've heard comments on this.
Absolutely, you can always go to the
Right.
county, you know, but all I can say is that every time everybody's gone there, it's always remained the same. This is to make up their comfortable with the
Right.
county convention.
Wouldn't it be more burden for like the people that live over there to go up to the county commissioners and make their stand?
I'm not in charge. I'm just saying, I never say never. I'm just saying, you know, we painted pickleball lines 15 years ago and nobody played. Now you can't get on a pickleball court. There's a time for everything in life. I'm just saying, if that was something this board was interested in, this board, not a board 10 years ago or 15, you know, I don't know.
Well, again, the way it's set up, you have to remember is, you know, the county, this is really the county's board that they've created to help them.
Right.
And it goes.
It's just you exist to help them. So however they want that makeup is up to them.
Right.
And I think it's a fiduciary responsibility at the end of the day. We're spending X number of millions of dollars, taxpayer money, and how do they make sure that we're validating that or meets with the review process, we're spending it wisely?
I mean, that's an interesting statement because honestly, if they got rid of this board, it would go back to their internal auditors and everybody doing those
BJ would
things.
be in charge.
Right.
I don't want that. Where did BJ go?
Yeah, he left.
And I think you've gotten feedback that they're very happy with how this board works and does stuff. So
Honestly, if you got rid of the board in Tucson County, you get a lot less attention than you get now.
Right.
Well, I think
No, I
the
didn't
commit
say
is
it.
having 2 boards.
Yes.
It was just the comment that Andy said if we got rid of it, back to the county.
I just don't see them doing that because then they're gonna be, you're gonna have to do twice as many things, right?
Yeah, I think with the millage and everything else, I mean, you got one area. How do you divide it? How do you? That'd be
We
a-
have 2 different villages.
Well, it is,
Yeah, they do.
it is
And they're
divided.
funded differently. Well, they're not funded
Right now,
differently,
it's a different
but they're,
process for them.
There's 2 ways over there and 1 way over here.
Right. That is true.
I feel like she just wanted that as a discussion point.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was discussed and.
Yeah, Lois just wanted to, you know,
Yeah.
put a little ripple in the water as she left there.
You may have talked about it previously, even though when I wasn't here, about the treasurer's report. The idea that the banks are having trouble with one tax ID.
yes.
And imagine a world where each of the entities had their own tax ID, but the fix-it board still oversaw all four entities. It's just, they had their own tax ID. That'd be a path toward having separate governance as well.
Correct.
But
We'd have to incorporate.
Right, right. And doing business as, I don't help issues that we run against by sharing a tax ID.
Yeah, we.
Okay.
That could be the first step toward getting each of the entities their own identity, their own tax ID, still overseen by this board, and then we work from there.
That would be something that the county would have to decide on. Yeah.
Well, you can approach it. I mean, Dan said, there's a valid reason to do that.
Yes, there is.
Something we can think about. Any other questions on the exhibit? All right, thank you very much. Matthew, you have workflow communication with entity employees.
Well, that's from all of us, but it was something we.
I was told it was from you.
Well, one of us.
You were
I
presenting.
was the one who
You're presenting.
We drew straws.
Yeah,
And you do the short one.
Correct.
I'm the short one.
No, you drew the short one. We all know who the short one is, guys.
Well, we can all chime in as needed, but it's really, we just started making notes because we were discussing. It felt like it had come up more and more since we originally had kind of said, hey, board, whenever you need something done, just bring it to us and we'll delegate. But it felt like there was maybe more and more exceptions that maybe we need to just start making notes on it. And maybe that'd be helpful to us, and maybe it'd also be helpful to the board, so that there wasn't any assumptions about, oh, can I contact this person? Can I give them a task to do, or can I get information from them? This person, meaning especially Beth, Shelby, and Blake, the three kind of shared employees between the entities. So we just started making notes about it, and we worked on it with the three among each other, and also with Beth, Shelby, and Blake. And this is the draft we came up with, and we wanted to bring it to you all to start getting feedback and see, is this how you see the communication as it is now or as it should be? Do you have any questions? We don't get a lot of requests really, I think, for our three staff members, but we wanted to at least go ahead and address it since it was something we were talking about, and it felt like it had come up every now and then, both in meetings and in between. So there's nothing that needs to be determined tonight necessarily, but we wanted to at least share notes on it. That thing, say this is the workflow that we thought made sense. And I don't know if any of the other directors want to jump in and then leave anything off of that broad brush there.
Well, I think one of the concerns we had was the comfort level for Beth. Beth has been nothing less than a gift from the HR gods to our department. She has been tried and true professional, has helped change the morale from our organization from 2 years ago. I can't thank her enough because some of us that have been here have the historical memories of things in the past. So when we were talking about this, that came to mind because it's a unique situation. So we did some research. We looked up and we thought in nonprofits, what does that organizational chart look like? It's very common. It's the chosen way in nonprofits most of the time for the HR coordinator, whatever name we give this position, to be working for the quote CEOs. In this case, we're called directors. Where it becomes odd or uncomfortable for Beth is if Beth and I get into this knockdown, drag out fight, which we had that situation where there was problems. What's unique for Beth is, number one, there's a guy that has HR employee practices law experience that works for us, that works for this board. Beth could go right around me, right around Matthew, right around Mark, or right around Anne Marie if there was a problem with one of her bosses and go to Andrew. I mean, we used to do that before we had HR. That was our HR guy because we didn't have an on-staff HR person. So after long conversations amongst the four of us, amongst the six of us, amongst the seven of us, we all feel very comfortable with our working relationship. We're all professional. That if Beth couldn't speak directly to me because it was a problem with me, she could go to the chairperson, she could go to the fixed attorney, and we see absolutely zero issue.
And we had addressed that in the original HR description when we first created that coordinator position, that there's a path for escalation, but it was very brief and not, probably really didn't have a lot of details. It didn't have a workflow, didn't address the other shared positions, so this is like kind of the next step, trying to fill in some of those gaps a little bit.
And I think ultimately we want our employees to be happy. We don't want them pulled in different directions needlessly. So having clear guidelines benefits everyone.
Any questions, comments, input? We don't have a chance to read it.
I have not had a full-on chance to read it, but could we just sort of sum up what's changed, what is being requested to change exactly?
From a high level, if I could, it's really, if you need Shelby to do something, come to myself or one of the directors. Come to the chair, I should say myself, just come to the chair and one of the directors, primarily one of the directors. Because that's going to be it. My relationship with Shelby is more getting the packets together, getting the agenda together, background stuff, making sure that our Sunbiz is up to date and everything else like that. Things like that. If you need something from IT, come to one of the directors. If you need something posted up online, you can send it to them, just copy the directors. That's really what they want. They just want to be informed as to what we are asking of the three fixed employees. If that makes sense.
Are you talking to us on
Yeah.
who we
Yes.
communicate with?
And vice
really-
versa,
Yeah.
who they communicate with in terms of the staff.
And I'll give you two prime examples of what's going on right now, Erica, so you understand why we're asking to be communicated to. So one, there was a huge website issue, a WordPress breach at Palm Harbor Library. So let's pretend, Erica, you wanted Blake to upload something to fix a website you saw was wrong. I don't know, I'm making this up. And you reached out directly to Blake. Well, Blake is working 10 hours today trying to fix this breach, which is a priority. It's got to be fixed. You don't know that. And so he gets this email from a board member. He's going to respond to you going, oh my God, I fixed the board member, because he's going to be like, I got to do that. He's Matthew's boss. And Matthew's saying, no, you got it. So we get this, he's torn in two directions.
Okay, so you're saying if we're trying to reach out to all your people,
So
then it means through you, not going directly to your people. Is that
the
what you're saying?
preference would be ultimately to definitely email us if possible.
So it's been a problem in the past that they're not going. through this
Correct.
way.
Well, and
I would say the bigger problem is we haven't really aired out, what some of the logistics might be
right.
with our unique organization. So it's not been super problematic. It's mostly been we have not addressed some of those gaps yet.
Well, and to Anne Marie's point, right now we're transitioning with United Healthcare. It was open enrollment, and we're changing the way we're doing billing, and there's been some issues. Anytime you change things with an organization, sometimes there's issues. So right now, Shelby is up to alligators with United Healthcare. So if John needed something out of the ordinary, and John, you're a bad example because you deal directly. If Bill needed something out of the ordinary and went directly to Shelby, that might put Shelby right over the edge. And Bill, unbeknownst to Bill, because she's stressed out with United Healthcare, had he gone, to one of us, we could have said, Bill, we'll take care of that for you instead of Shelby, because she is stressed out with United Healthcare. And then we keep Shelby still on board. We're not losing a good employee or stressing her out. You see what I'm saying? Because you guys don't know what's going on in the everyday operations. And sometimes that happens and nobody means it. That's why, I don't like when my advisory board sometimes comes in and goes directly to staff and says, hey, can you do blah, blah, blah? Because they don't know necessarily what Cindy might be working on, or Steven or Trish or, Jody. And sometimes it does stress them out because they see a board member coming and asking for something and thinks that needs to trump everything else. And sometimes it doesn't.
That said, let's say it is something time sensitive and you can't reach any of the four of us because we've decided that we're all gonna,
We're in Fiji.
we've gone to Fiji. Exactly. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
In that case, if let's say you emailed one of the employees individually, just copy us. Or if you need to go to them verbally, like you call them on the phone or you go to them in person, just make sure that either you notify us or that they notify us. In other words, that we're just kept in the loop.
Yeah, kept in the loop.
Just so that it doesn't ever feel like, oh, I can't talk to that person. You know what I mean? That's not the intent.
Not at all. Not at all.
But as far as if I was said I needed to go talk to Beth, I don't need to go through you to talk
No.
to Beth, though, right? That's not what you're saying. You're saying your people specifically at your entity.
Well,
So
that-
No, Beth is part of their people.
it's just Blake,
Beth is a fixed employee.
it's Beth, Blake and Shelby. That's the three people we're talking about.
Right.
You can
Not
hire.
Kathy or anybody at the library, Matthew's, or Trish.
That's HR.
No.
I think the thing is, like, if you wanted the benefit analysis, you wanted to actually see all the work that I did. If you just email me, hey, I want that benefit analysis report, and just copy my boss on that, so that they just know that what I'm doing. Yeah. Now, if you have an issue, maybe with one of them, and you wanted to come to me about it, then my go-to person, as described in here, is John. Okay, because according to your bylaws, he's the CEO of the FIXA board, right? So then, obviously, I can't go to them, I would go to John. Because not the whole board, I just go to John.
Does that make sense, Erica?
That's my go-to person.
Yeah, makes sense.
Here's,
It's a lot.
I'm sorry, here's really the provision. Because we have it in almost every city or fire district. Under your bylaws of the rules of conduct, it says no board member shall interfere with the daily operations of the four entities of FIXA. And the way to get around that issue or deal with that issue is you just notify the directors. Like in a city, in the city manager form of government, you're an elected official, but you would have to go to this city manager and say, I'd like to go talk to the finance director, or I'd like to talk to the police chief, just so they know. And I think that's the same thing they're requesting here,
Gotcha.
just so they know.
So what happened previously, way before any of you were on the board? I mean, maybe Phil, maybe you were here. We had an HR director, and it wasn't Beth's predecessor, who had fallen off of her duties. And she was claiming that it was because the board was making her do all this other stuff.
Oh, okay.
And we had no way of knowing as directors because we didn't know.
Right.
Were you really, Mr. Smith, asking Mrs. Jones to do all this? That way, there's no way Beth could, not that Beth would.
Yeah.
But there's no way Beth would be able to say, well, Erica keeps asking me to do this, this, and this, and we would know that. And we would understand, oh, no wonder you didn't get to this, Beth. Okay, no worries. It'll get, it'll happen tomorrow. It's just basically to cover her.
Yeah.
And we don't
You're
know.
her boss, yeah.
Right, and we don't go heavy at her, for something that it's not her fault. And or get taken advantage of. I don't foresee her ever doing that because she's an honest, ethical, and moral individual. We did have an individual that did take advantage of us, and we don't want to see that again.
And imagine having four bosses.
Five, I guess.
But
Yeah, that's right.
What do you mean, Erica? We have 8 plus 62,000. So I'm just saying, well,
Similarly, you know, we want to really kind of formally acknowledge the fact that there will be things that might come up where you then expect Shelby or Beth or Blake to always be there in that instance. And there's a path for that. You know, that if there's ever a need for that to establish, that can be done. You know, I mean, there's the main thing is to support the organization overall and to support each other. And so, you know, we wanted to kind of formally acknowledge the fact that that really should be the case in certain instances, like annual review times or, you know, setting up IT accounts for, you know, email accounts and SharePoint accounts, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's a two-way street, and that's how we do it. And we want to make sure that we're, you know, acknowledging that and trying to figure out a clear way for everybody to be able to do that without any muss or fuss.
Understand. I recommend that we take this and put it on the agenda for next month, that we can vote on it, and formalize it.
Absolutely. This was just information only, just they want our feedback. And then, yeah, it'll be on the agenda for next month to ratify.
I would also suggest that we go a little deeper on Beth's relationship with this board when it comes to annual reviews of directors. My main concern is that her feedback is probably the most valuable to us. Her processes, helping the advisory boards understand how to do an evaluation, and coaching volunteers really on how to be objective in their review of their directors, because that's all we have is her. My main concern with that is we need to make sure that she doesn't feel uncomfortable providing that unbiased opinion when she's working for them. That could cause a conflict. So if we can separate that power somehow, outside of that as a special, because that's really the only thing that we are responsible for.
Kind of given some thought to that a little bit, and I think the thing is maybe if John and I work closer on that, process and you.
We're
because-
getting there.
So it's not 8 people and having a whole discussion, but it's more, that, okay, John, if I just even say, hey, what do you think about this? Should I present this to the board? Should I present this to the board? What do you think of these ideas? And if you and I were to have those type of conversations, and then you can come up with, well, these are the questions, so that we can kind of work that all out before we actually present, and I present you something, and then a month later you say, well, make these changes, and I come back a month later, make these changes, and a month later come back and make those changes. I think that maybe with that,
It would speed the process.
because I don't know necessarily, maybe he would have a better understanding of what the board is looking for.
And from I'll speak for the 4 of us, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, but we don't perceive a conflict because Beth is providing human resources expertise. She might be managing evaluations in a certain way, but she's not evaluating. She's synthesizing. She's helping you with the process.
Agreed.
There's no conflict there.
Yeah.
Now, if we do something unethical and something needs to escalate, we also agree that there should be a path for that, and that will involve Beth. Yes, she reports to us, but she's also the expert, the in-house expert when it comes to that. So if I start skimming off the top and I'm driving a Lamborghini or whatever, and you know that we're all comfortable with the fact that you have to be able to use the in-house expertise, both with Andy and with Beth, to be able to manage those kinds of situations.
Agreed.
Escalation will go into a special meeting, to a workshop or something like that anyway. So, it really became that serious with you or me or whatever, because you understand there's an escalation process. You're gonna have an opinion, you're gonna steer it in one direction, but it's still gonna be beyond the 2 of you. Let's get the board involved. I mean, it may come to that point then at that point, but that would be 2 of you who make that decision to move forward then, I would think. Yeah.
Erica?
I just had a question, if I don't know, evaluation purposes, you guys do an evaluation for her each year, I'm assuming? And then she does an evaluation for
No,
you?
she doesn't.
No, she doesn't we do the evaluation. She assists us with that, making procedurally to do it, but she is not
She
performing
assists
evaluations.
In evaluations from like what the workers say,
She
not what
compiles-
she says.
It's the advisory board. She compiles the information she's given. She doesn't write it.
Right, okay.
But her review will be coming from the directors this way, so she would get 4 individual reviews.
She actually gets 1. We compile the 4 results. Yep.
And then you figure out
That's fine, yeah, I got you.
the raises, the bonus.
Whatever's in our budget.
whatever.
But she's part of our personnel line.
Right, that's out of our purview.
And the only other point on that, with Beth's role, I think she could add a lot of value to the advisory boards. At least I could speak for mine. I think having her input in there, I know that we are not employees and that would be a direct, suck away from the FICSA entity. For her Beth to come to my advisory board and help us, coach us, I think we really could use it. And I'm wondering if we can somehow include that as a potential option that.
That Dan actually is an excellent question. We've talked about that for many, many years.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way we're set up now, that question is actually to these 4 here, because that would be taking her time. So she would need to schedule that, be out of, adjust her pay or adjust her time, not her pay, adjust her time. So she doesn't go into overtime or anything else like that, but also it works on her schedule. But I don't think that, we've talked about it. If it's something that Beth is willing to do and the directors can work with her and schedule that around, I think that's a fantastic idea, because it's always been a pain point. It really has, because the individual entities or the individual advisory boards, friends or whatever, all do it differently. But to come to a cohesive way of doing it, systematic way of doing it, is really going to be the best. And I agree with that, because you're right. We're not professionals at the advisory board level. Being that they have been there myself, and that's what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a legal question about that, Andy? Could the advisory boards pay her out of their 501c3 as a 10, like a contracted fee to come to their boards?
Could they? Yes. Would I recommend that? No.
Do that either.
She's an employee of. Fitch,
No, I know.
And that's just not, now you're commingling not only the employee, but the.
That's my
actual
concern is
duties of the-
commingling the employees
Right.
everywhere.
We looked at that standard work, the whole process, the timelines and everything else, and it would make sense for you to get in front of the advisory boards for that hour and go through the training. Here's the forms to fill out, here's the timelines and stuff like that. Answer any questions, because that could bang relatively quick. I do agree, totally.
Well, but we have to address the review process, and that's actually on my list for next month as well, to make sure that we have a good process going forward with Beth's help. She doesn't need to be at the meeting. Like if Beth needs to be at a meeting, I come to them and I ask, hey, can we have Beth at the meeting?
Yep.
And then, again, she'll regular schedule, but yes, that is something we can discuss. Get the process moving because we are getting upon that time and we don't want to get behind the 8 ball. Like we have been for every year that I've been involved with this board and most of you too, Phil.
Yeah.
All right. New business. We do have a piece of new business that escaped me, but Erica reminded me of it. Yes, the DBAs. It's more for information. This is more for information for the board. With a potential change of banks. So right now, we're the Palm Harbor Community Services Agency. Each individual entity is not a legal DBA. Until now, they're becoming legal DBAs with the Palm Harbor Community Services Agency as the sole owner. Okay, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's mainly for banking. So that way the checks could say, fix a Palm Harbor Library. Fix a East Lake Parks and Rec. Not fix them. And then we improperly put on the other name. It's just the way that the banks are looking at it. So,
This was accomplished with Cadence previously with letters,
right.
but that doesn't seem to be standard practice anymore.
Erica had come to me about it and I'm like, please get with Andy. Andy blessed it, said yes, do it. So they went ahead and they're doing it.
We have to prove anything on that or?
Nope, it's informational only.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, any other new business or anything else I forgot?
To be clear, is it fictitious names for fictitious names?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's unbid?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to change the board or anything.
No. The Palm Harbor Community Services Agency, FIXA entity will stay just the way it is. We are just the owner of each DBA. So nothing has to change on that.
We spoke to this faster because they have 10 checks left.
Yeah. Jesus.
All right,
Order
can
50 today.
just building on that, can the East Lake Library, Community Library, send a fictitious name to represent me here at this meeting going forward?
As long as it's still you, you can send a fictitious name.
Change your name.
I want to send someone in my stead.
No.
No, it's the other opposite.
All right.
We can only give you a different name.
Well, we can give you a different name. You can wear a mustache, dude.
Mustache. All right. Next meeting will be at Palm Harbor Library on May 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
A lot of it, a lot of people.
When you were talking about.